Peace. This is a meat and potato sorcery production starring myself, the Water Alchemist, and today's topic for the occult family is you versus you. So I want to talk about this because this subject is very important to me, and this is why. When you're having a breakthrough, it can be frightening. And why can it be frightening? Because the ego will lay out certain traps for you to keep you in a state of comfort. This is why a lot of people, when they don't go where they want to in magic, or even when they're breaking ground and starting to scratch the surface of their potential, guess what happens? I've seen it and I've heard it all. When people go back to their religion, I should say, such as Christianity, for example, I've seen a lot of testimonials where people would be like, oh, well, I was doing this ritual to demons and such, and then Jesus came in, or God came in. Now, let me tell you what that really is. You had a magical experience and you weren't prepared to handle it. So what your ego did was it tricked you in saying, this was Jesus, this was Yahuwah or Jehovah. No, the biggest adversary or enemy that you're going to have to face on this path is yourself. Let me give you some further examples. When you're starting to meditate, what does the ego do? The ego will all of a sudden, your face ain't been itching, now it's itching. Or your nose twitch, or you got to scratch your back or your knee. Because you are fighting you for this reason. Because the ego doesn't want to be subservient to one that is trying to master the self. And if you master the self, what ends up happening is that the ego or the mind has to get with the program. That's why. And when you see these people that turn their back on magic/sorcery, what's the one common denominator that they usually always have? They come from a very religious background. And they got into magic, let me spell it out for you real quick, to get their ex, or to get someone they love, or to get a ton of money. It's never about becoming one with yourself or journeying in the attainment of God or goddesshood. It's never that. So the ego is always going to keep you in a state like that. When people say, oh, I feel I'm hexed or I'm cursed. If you feel like that, the subconscious mind is going to bring trials and tribulations in your life. Look at the movie The Matrix, 1999, the character Cypher. Even though, now he backstabbed and betrayed the whole squad. And at the end of the day, he couldn't live with the uncomfortable truth. So he rather work with the enemy and go back and get what? Get him a condo, get him a model-like girlfriend, and have a nice steak. So when you're dealing with this path, you are going to have to face yourself. You are going to have to fight yourself. That's what you're going to have to do. I've seen it, heard it. I've had people that come from religious families and they don't last long. I'm just going to be brutally honest with you about that. And it's like when people have an experience where they're about to astral project. And what happened? They panic. So the etheric body goes right back in to the physical body. I'm giving you all these examples. Stop making everything external. You are going to fight you. The external enemy, I'm not saying you'll never have one, but you. And you knows your tricks. So, and I hear all these people, everybody that comes back all of a sudden to religion, when I listen to them, I don't know if it's irritating or amusing, because I was a satanic priest. I was a high-ranking witch and all that. And then they go right back to square one. And I had a video, Jehovah doesn't care if you practice magic. and people didn't get the gist of it. Well, let me spell it out for you. And I know that Atrog's listening. When the so-called myth, and the Bible is just a confabulation, basically. It's just a whole bunch of stories. When Pharaoh had that contest with Moses, what was Moses using? He was using magic. And if you read the New Testament with what Yahuwah was doing, or Jesus or Isa, whatever appellation you want to give him, what was he using? Magic. That's why certain people in the witchcraft community believe that Jesus was a black magician. I've already given my take on that, so I'm not even going to get all off into that. And also, what was Jesus a part of? An esoteric order, the order of Melchizedek. And Melchizedek is another name for Michael, he who is like God. And you can check that. That is in Hebrews and Psalms, the order of Melchizedek. And it goes like this. Melchizedek has no mother or no father. That's why I laugh when people like all angels answer to Jehovah. No, they don't. And if you would just really take the time to really study the Bible, and it doesn't make any sense, or even the New Oxford Annotated Bible, which contains the Apocrypha, then maybe a lot of y'all will get a clue. Just like the Quran. The Quran and so-called Christendom came out of Catholicism. So if you want to go back to Christianity, I could really care less. But a lot of you go back to it because you really want to be with sheep. And you can say, oh, Jesus brought me back and God. No, that ain't it. Many of you got into magic for the wrong reason, and many of you became a pariah and shunned by many of your friends and your family members. And you go back to it. Listen to people that practice magic and then go back to religion. You know how many of them suffer from depression or suicide or were bullied in school? You're going to get like 8 out of 10 stories about that. So, no, you fight you. And just admit that in the end, the ego won. So, with that, that is your meat and potato sorcery for the day. I am the Water Alchemist. Be water, my friends. Peace.